Well, it didn't come to light because a lot of this stuff just kind of passed through, and there was really maybe no reason in history to look at things until this accidental discharge occurred.
Frankly, I think all this should have been done privately for a peaceful resolution that would be mutually beneficial.
The first step in this process is to determine whether we want to continue his employment.
The decisions I will make and the other members of my council will be based on the facts that we have been given.
Leave me alone, Jeff! You're gonna piss me off more!
This recording features James Hansey, previously serving as Chief of Police in the Buckeye Lake Police Department, finally facing interrogation after years of avoiding accountability. His tenure was stained by various violations, including misuse of authority, check fraud, and other offenses. However, it's not these wrongdoings that have brought him to this point. Rather, it was a seemingly harmless misstep that exposed the deeper issues within his leadership. Join us as we dive into the complex case surrounding James Hansey. On March 10, 2018, a report surfaced from a residence in Leisure Village, Arizona, involving Officer Hansey, who arrived at the scene and accidentally discharged his firearm. Preceding this event, Hansey had been on medical leave due to the amputation of his finger. The doctor had restricted him to light duty, essentially assigning desk work, indicating he shouldn't have been responding to such incidents, a task best left to his fellow officers. The doctor's note specified his return for light duty on March 12, 2 days after this incident occurred. Additionally, Buckeye Lake Mayor Peggy Wells had advised against his duty resumption at that time. Subsequently, on April 4, 2018, Hansey underwent interrogation as part of an internal investigation regarding the misfire incident, initially the focus of the inquiry. Upon being read his rights, the interrogation commenced with Hansey detailing his account of the incident.
Lancaster, we had ate at B-Dub. We were coming down 79 and we were in the area of Buckeye Lake Leisure Village. And my telephone rang. It was from Darlene Witt-Hofer. I've known the family since, I was a firefighter with her brother Terry for ever. And she's on the phone screaming, saying her aunt, she found her aunt in the middle of the road, and that two guys had broken into her aunt's house and held her at gunpoint. She was able to escape, but the gunman shot one guy. He was laying in the floor bleeding to death, and the gunman was still in the house. So we're right there between both entrances to Leisure Village, the main entrance and the second entrance. I tell Jeff, go there because it's right over here, M section. So as we're there, I call Steve Ritter. Literally, this is what we got, get down to the M section. Meet with us. As we pull up, I'm down in the sheriff's office. I call the sheriff's office. Tell them exactly what's going on. They say, you want emergency traffic? Yes.
So you call them?
I called the sheriff's office.
Okay.
We're standing there, we're just trying to decide what's going on, and she keeps saying, he's dying, he's in my house dying, he's in my house dying. She was very physically upset. Both of them were really upset. I had no belief to doubt them. I wasn't even thinking of being on technically light duty.
Right.
Had no gun with me, and with there someone possibly being in that house dying, you guys have done the same thing. You'd have went in. We had 3 people here, and we've been trained. I told Ritter, give me your handgun. Vermaiden went around the side of the trailer to see if there was a door on the back. I said, go get your rifle, because we don't know what he's got. Give me your handgun. It's the same identical handgun that I've got. And we went in, cover 3. Vermaiden was the first one in the door, went to the right, because it's a single wide. Went in, and I went to the left, and I held the whole back of the trailer. And the trailer is really dark, and the only lights that's on is their flashlights and a TV in the very back room. I'm standing here, low ready, left hand, and all of a sudden something flashed. I thought someone was coming up, and when I came up, I hit a corner, and boom! Went in the round, went in the floor.
Okay. Did you have your finger on the trigger or something when you went up?
I had, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was coming up to protect myself.
Right.
And I just hit that counter and it just, pow.
Okay.
Just simple as that. We cleared the house. No one was there. It was the TV and the door was cracked about that big. I talked to the woman and the son. Didn't know that she had an onset of dementia is what he told us. Told us the other day that she told him Trump was in her bedroom.
Given his recent finger amputation, protocol dictated that Hansey should have been confined to desk duties. However, despite this restriction, upon hearing the call, he took it upon himself to intervene, perhaps without fully understanding the potential impact of his amputation on his ability to handle a firearm safely.
And that was she'd seen a police movie prior to going to bed that night. So, I checked the house to make sure everything was fine, that we didn't hurt the electric, didn't hurt the water. From her end, set her and her son down and said, listen, we had an accidental discharge. Sorry about that. Everything in the house is fine. And his exact words to me is, I don't give a as long as my mom's okay. I said, what about a doctor's? If she's hallucinating or something like that, we need to get her to take care of her. Let's get her to the hospital. He said, no, she goes into the doctor's in the morning. I said, then you can come and get a copy of our report so your doctor can have that to use to see what kind of medicine to get it on. And he said that would be fine. Or I would have pink slipped her that night, but with her, he's like, I'm staying here, she's going to the doctor's in the morning. She argued a little bit with him, no, I'm not. Mom, yes, you are. You've got a doctor's appointment. And I told him, I said, Dave, you come and get a copy of this report. Or have your doctor, get something from your doctor, we'll fax a copy of the report over to see, show that she's hallucinating or something so she can get help. Okay. And we went back to the office, all three of us wrote up our statements, wrote up the use of force where I had the accidental discharge, and went from there.
So you guys get over there, you have your accidental discharge, talk to the people, everything's fine with them. Now, at some point, Hebron came over, right?
Yes.
Okay. Were they called to come over?
I don't know that, because again, I didn't hear anything on the walkie. Sometimes when we got something like that, they just drift over.
Right.
And we drift over to them.
Sure. It's kind of good mutual aid.
Yeah.
Was there any conversation about not telling them about the accidental discharge?
Yes, there was.
Okay. Was that your call?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the rationale there?
Ritter likes to tell things, and for the integrity of the case, integrity of the accidental shooting, Ritter, you don't have to go tell everybody that we had an accidental shooting. Let's get this investigated first. Let's get it looked at. Let's save the integrity of the case right here before anybody, 1,700 people know.
Sure.
And that was the only reason. There's no reason to hide anything. How can you hide an accidental discharge?
Makes it tough. Things go bang real loud.
Yeah, and you got a spent shell. We got the shell.
Okay.
Yeah, I sure did. I told him. Because he likes to tell, and there's some things that happens in-house just like here. You guys have things that happen in-house. You guys aren't supposed to tell anybody until things are looked at, I did exactly what I was supposed to do. I called the mayor. I called the mayor 6 times and she never called me back. She called Ritter instead of calling my phone. She does that a lot. Just the other day, she's standing there, Ritter's phone goes off. Call from Peggy Wells. He's talking to her. I walk up and say, why aren't you calling me? I'm the chief.
Right. Huh. So you guys got some communication barriers between you and the mayor, you would say?
From years, she's been on council for years, and yes, she never liked the police department. She's actually picketed against the fire department. She don't like them. She had a big meeting with Randy Thorpe and, Billy was still there, and wanted to see about bringing them in and get rid of us, and Billy and them guys told him, you can't afford us.
Right.
But when she took over mayor, and she took me in on January 19th, I told her, I said, all I want to do is my job.
Yeah.
I want to work with you. I have no hard feelings about nothing.
Certainly, while his initial explanation might seem plausible, it's crucial to verify it with evidence. However, the accidental shot is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, the focus is on constructing a comprehensive profile of Officer Hanze, taking into account numerous allegations and complaints against him.
My computer at home is set up the same way the computer at the house. At the office.
Okay.
And if I was at my house doing stuff and writing, you can go to my house right now and I can show you the stuff that I've done, changing policies and changing things. I've had permission from our mayor, Kate Carroll, to go there.
Okay. Have you had permission from this mayor to go there?
No, and I haven't.
Okay. All right.
If I wish I would have brought my phone in. The times that they're probably talking about is I burnt my foot, right heel, really bad, clear to the bone. And I had to have a special boot, and it hurt to walk in it. And I would come in the mornings, I would get the mail like I was supposed to, I would check the phone recorders and do everything else, and then I would go to the house and do what I had to do, But I always had my walkie right there, and they knew this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think part of it too was they said they came over, a couple of times, and you were just wearing shorts and a t-shirt watching cops while you were on duty.
No.
And that was the... and then when I checked the records, you had him logged down as hours that day, but my concern is if you're at home that day, and that's true, let's say that's true what he's saying, if you're just sitting around watching cops when you're supposed to be at work, that could be an issue.
Right.
obviously, I mean, you're the chief of police. You wouldn't want one of your guys doing that, you know? So, I mean, you got to understand from, you know, our perspective, looking at numbers and looking at everything else that you know, are brought to us as a concern, we have to try to figure out why, or justify why that's happening.
Right.
So, and that's why I'm asking you, because I want you to justify to me why that is a reoccurring thing, though, from everybody we've talked to. It's a reoccurring issue that, yeah, well, Jimmy goes home a lot, and, you know, he'll leave and he'll just stay home. But literally it's a reoccurring thing. Everybody said the same thing. Why do you think that is, Jimmy?
I would go home a lot, but I would be in blue jeans or my BDU pants and a shirt that always said police. And I would be doing the stuff that I was allowed to do on the computer per the mayor. And then I would go out and go get cards, tag numbers and stuff with the junk cards, and I would do my OLEG or write it up. I wouldn't do the OLEG at the house because I couldn't. I could only do it at the office. But I would write the junk card stuff up. Okay. I mean, just because if they come home and see me, I'm in a t-shirt that says police and I'm not wearing my full uniform with the badge and all this, everything else, doesn't mean that I'm cheating the system and not working. I'm doing a lot of things in the background that... Speaking
of that, junk cars, I wanted to ask you about that too. What are your procedures for junking cars?
Junking cars?
Yeah, let's say you get a car in an impound, nobody comes and gets it. What are your procedures to get rid of that vehicle?
Run the thing through the state of Ohio. They come back and tell us if there's a lien on it, and then you send that person, or if there's a lien on it, you send that person 10-day notice. Or if there's no lien on it, you send that person, the owner, 10-day notice, and then if they don't collect it or we get it back, they've got 10 days to pay the towing or anything like that. If not, then I go get a title from the BMV.
His assertion about having prior permission from the former mayor to work from home, especially during desk duty, raises questions about why he didn't seek approval from the current mayor, Peggy Wells, despite potential differences in their relationship. The discrepancy in the logged hours adds another layer of complexity to this situation. In smaller towns, tensions between the police and the mayor aren't uncommon. Hence, it's crucial to approach this situation neutrally, considering both possibilities. Either Hansy's actions were in opposition to the current mayor's directives, or there's a chance that the mayor might be coordinating a case against him to facilitate his dismissal.
There's been those allegations, and a little more than just allegations, very, very specific things that I've checked out. Not making a lot of sense, okay? One of them especially being a water pump that was taken off of a truck for Randy. And Randy gave the water pump to his brother, Gary. And Randy had your permission to take the water pump off of the truck that was in the impound lot. So think about that before you answer me, Jimmy, because I want you to be really honest with me, man.
I'm good.
My goal here, dude, I respect you. I really do. Genuinely, like, I want to make sure that you come out of this thing, you know, okay. Whether that's okay with your job, okay without your job, you know, but what I don't want to see is something that, you know, you get charged, go to jail. Right. You know what I'm saying?
If anything was taken off them cars, the village already owned them, and they had permission from the mayor to take any. I personally have never taken anything off the cars, out of the cars, anything. Now, Randy and Mark Dimmick has, yes. But they've always had permission, and they've never done anything until the vehicles were owned by the village.
Sure.
And they were going to the junkyard. They were getting loaded up that day or the next day and going to the junkyard to be crushed.
Okay. So it's all the same pile of money, right? I mean, if one car goes, it goes whole, or it goes, are they junking it out? Are they checking for all the equipment? Or are they making sure that if they can pull the engine or a water pump or anything off of that, junkyard will do that? Or you sell them out as a whole?
Sell them at the car. I've seen it when I've taken them there, they ran the forks through the forklift, through the windows, picked it up, put it in this thing, put it down.
Crush everything like a sandwich.
Yeah, but if I didn't even know about a water pump to Gary, but if it was taken, battery, water pump, I will tell you, I knew a jack was taken, one of them scissor jacks, but it was already up on the trailer, trunk was locked, and Randy's like, oh, we got a jack. All right. But the village owned them vehicles. There was permission by Clay Carroll. Nothing was taken until that stuff was taken, the village owned it.
Okay, so when the village owned it, let's say that you guys did everything properly, the village owned it. Did you take any batteries then after they owned it? Did the mayor say, hey, you can take these? I'm trying to, you know, explain it for myself in my head why I've had two people tell me the same thing now. Two different people. One, you know, that I would say is completely on your side. One that says maybe not completely on your side, and they're both telling me the same thing. So I'm trying to figure that out why in my head that would be the case. So is there a circumstance or an instance where you did take a battery or two after the mayor cleared it?
I've never taken a battery.
Never.
Never.
Okay.
Never.
All right. Well, I needed to ask you about that because, like I said, I've had a couple of them here. All right. So you don't know anything about Randy taking the water pump?
No.
Okay. Because Randy's saying he had your permission to do it, not the mayor's. He said he had your permission.
Well, he probably asked me, hey, I'm going to get something of one of these cars. And it may have been, it may have been a water pump, but I don't remember. But no one took anything until the village owned the vehicles and they were going to the scrapyard.
Okay. All right.
Matter of fact, I got to tell you,
Yeah.
they took a set of tires off once for a vehicle. There's good tires that were going to the junkyard. We put it up on the thing, they lifted it up, took the tires off because it would have fit one of the village work vehicles.
Such accusations against a chief of police are deeply concerning. It's crucial for investigators to thoroughly examine the records documented by Hansy to verify these claims. While these allegations could potentially come from someone seeking his dismissal, if proven true, engaging in the theft and resale of car parts would create a grave and serious offense, carrying significant legal consequences.
I'm going to call it accidental discharge. It was you shot the ground, right? Essentially. You knew that you were not on duty, right?
I knew I was on light duty.
Okay. You weren't even on light duty according to your doctor's. You were on light duty until the 12th.
No, I had the doctor's excuse with me.
I've got the doctor's excuse. It doesn't say that you can return until the 12th. And this incident happened on the 10th, but you were not to return to work until the 12th.
Okay, the 12th was a Monday.
Yes.
All right, and this happened on a Saturday. Yes, I could return to duty on Monday.
Yes, on Monday. So that means you weren't on duty. You weren't on duty at all, right? That's why you didn't have a gun with you. I would assume you had your police ID probably, but you didn't have your firearm, right? Okay, that's because you were not on duty, correct?
No, I don't feel that way. I feel that I'm in the village, I'm on duty.
Even though the doctor's saying you're not allowed to be on duty until the 12th.
The doctor said you return to duty. That's a return to work.
Right.
Okay? I was physically working to get paid. I got paid through sick time, but physically showing up and doing the work. But I considered myself on duty because I'm in the village. I live in the village. I'm the chief of police, so I'm 24/7. So yeah, I considered myself on duty.
Okay, so if one of your officers acted the same way you did, the same manner, you wouldn't have a problem with that then at all. If they were not due to come back to work for 2 more days and they took a call in the village, they took a call, even though they're not cleared to come back for 2 more days, would you per se, do you have a problem with that?
If it was the same situation that I was put in,
Sure, call exactly the same.
no, I would not.
Okay, and why is that?
Because there was imminent risk of death. He was there. He had plenty enough people to take care of what the situation was. And I believe he has what word do I want to use?
You want to use probably duty to do something, right?
Yeah,
I assume that's where you're going with
yeah.
that. Okay.
Yes, I do. I would not have a problem with that at all. I mean, the accidental discharge was very unfortunate and a bad timing, but no, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all because of the imminent danger. And it was just the way she was saying it, just like, he's dying, please help, please help, please help.
Who's responsible for your auxiliary hours?
Jeff or me.
Okay. And who's responsible for are you his boss?
Yes.
Okay, so are you also responsible for the hours that go to city council? You're turning those into city council, right, as a document?
As end of the month report, you mean?
Yeah, the end of the month report where you've got all the hours listed for everybody to work, all the calls were taken, all that stuff.
Yeah, we get the calls and everything out of the computer system.
Okay.
And Jeff would estimate the hours.
How's he estimating the hours? I'm confused on that part.
I work 80 hours a week.
Huh?
I mean, 80 hours a week.
Every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks. That's 160 a month, so he'd put 160. He would take what he was supposed to work, divide that by 2. That's what he would get, just down the line like that.
Okay. That's for the full-timers, right?
For the paid, yes.
For the paid people. And Jeff or Maiden was in charge of all the paid people to make sure that all of their numbers were accurate?
Well, we turn in them on the payroll slip.
Right, but who was also responsible for that, to make sure those numbers are correct?
Those numbers were estimations. They were never correct, not meant to be correct.
You guys are paid by the hour, right? Mm-hmm. How do you get paid by the hour, estimate by the hour? How does that work? Because we have a time clock. We got to turn stuff. I mean, we literally have a time clock.
So we don't.
Right, which is crazy, but it keeps track of our hours very well.
We used to have a time clock, and for some reason, I don't know why it went out.
But if you don't work, if I estimate you worked 20 hours, but you only worked 15 hours, am I not cheating a village out of 5 hours? Or your police department, with your limited budget, are you cheating yourselves out of hours if you do it that way?
No, because our hours was not estimated. The hours worked was by our time sheets.
Okay.
And then it was verified with Mary over here.
Okay, how would Mary know how much you worked?
Oh, she would see us. I mean, you would write your hours down.
Right.
I mean, like if you go out there right now, I'll sit here with you. You'll see 6 a.m. on my timesheet, but you won't have a time ending. Because before I leave and go home, I would write, okay, let's say I'm up 4 today. I write 4 p.m. in the amount of hours, and you come over here and you put the hours.
Yes.
So,
Do you have you don't do any kind of trip sheets or anything then, right? 'Cause you're the chief?
we mean trip sheets.
Like a trip log, like
No.
your officers do when they're out
No.
riding around,
No.
driving around. Which makes sense. You're the chief of police, so you're just putting in your time, your hours, and that's it.
Yeah.
All right. So who is ultimately responsible for making sure those hours are correct?
Are you talking on the sheet that?
I'm talking about the sheets that you guys turn in to Mary. Who is responsible for those numbers that go over there?
Ultimately me.
Okay.
But I didn't do their time sheets. They would do. Each officer does their own time sheet.
Sure.
Like if you two work for me, you do your time sheet, you do your time sheet, and then on Monday mornings when I come into work when it was supposed to be turned in, I'd look.
Right.
All right. I know your day's off.
Right.
And I'm going to know if you had to work over or something. I'm going to know that. And I just verify it through there and then I sign it.
So you know when somebody has to work over or comes in for somebody else, they notify you, so you know about it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then you're ultimately responsible for making sure the numbers are accurate when they go to Mary, who I assume Mary does some other report as well, or did at the time.
I have no clue. We just turn in our time sheets to her.
But you make a report for city council, or for village council. I'm sorry, if I keep calling it city council, I'm
Yeah.
just used to this. You make a report for village council, right?
At the end of the month, they would get a report
Yes.
on with the fire department and every street department and everything else.
Right. And that report is done by who?
We're making.
Okay, so Vermaiden does the report. He does the report up, and I would assume, since you're the guy in charge ultimately, and you're the one responsible for numbers ultimately, you look at that report. You don't look at the report that Vermaiden's doing?
No, he would come in or on a Friday when I'm off on Fridays,
Uh-huh.
and he knows Monday is the council meeting. He would do it up, and then he would take it over and give it to Valerie. There's plenty of times I would never see that report.
Okay. So nobody looks at what Vermaiden's doing as far as the numbers go?
On something like that, no.
Okay.
Because they were just estimated numbers of, he could put me down for 160 hours a month.
I'm talking about, okay, I see where you're going with that. I'm sorry, Jimmy. Let's go back, let's say the auxiliaries. Who keeps track of their numbers? I got where paid guys are. Vermaiden's in charge of the paid guys. I got it.
Vermaiden.
So Vermaiden's also in charge of the
Yes.
auxiliaries. Okay. So when those numbers go over, do you check their numbers too to make sure that they're accurate? Because you said, like you said, you know who's coming and going in your police department.
Well, he'd put the hours down for them. They were, some of them worked 16 hours a month. Some of them worked more.
Some of them worked less. In fact, a lot of them worked less.
I have no clue.
But you know who's coming and going, Jimmy. That's the whole thing I want to get at. You know who's coming and going in the department, and there are people like Schilling. Is it Schilling? Schiller?
Mm-hmm.
I know
Jason Schilling.
Jason Schilling.
It appears that once again, Hansy was under a restriction of light duty and wasn't authorized for active duty until Monday, making his involvement in the incident on Saturday during his supposed medical leave a clear violation. Moreover, the hourly rate check system seems highly vulnerable to abuse, as it lacks effective oversight mechanisms. This flaw allows those in positions of authority to play favorites and potentially manipulate hours worked, leading to unchecked compensation. In law enforcement, there's a legitimate expectation for keen accountability, which unfortunately seems lacking in this case.
He saved us so much money without having to farm out that training that he would give him the 16 hours every month.
Gotcha.
That was Foster.
So your old mayor,
Frank Foster.
is that 2 mayors ago? Mm-hmm. So your mayor 2 mayors ago said that was okay?
Yes.
So you guys continue to put 16 hours on the monthly report that's turned into village council?
Yes.
Even though he was not working 16 hours?
He wasn't physically working 16 hours. That's
right.
But he would come out every once in a while.
I agree. No, they said that too. They said he'd come out every now and then. Mm-hmm. But he wasn't coming out 16 hours a month, was he?
No.
So when you take a report and it's being generated by the police department and it's going over to village council as him having 16 hours a month, that's not accurate.
It may not be 16 hours. I believe it is accurate because the mayor, Frank Foster, said, we will trade him this 16 hours a month if he continues to train us like
Right.
that. And that's the way we did it.
I understand what you're saying. I do. I get it. But, a guy like that's invaluable. But you want that guy to actually work. And when you're presenting those numbers to the village council, the numbers don't match what is actually going on. So if you're putting 16 hours down, it looks like that guy's been there for 16 hours that month. Putting at least 16 hours of time, right?
If you wanted to look at it that way, yes.
I don't know. I really don't know how else to look at it, Jimmy, when it comes to that. Because, again, valuable guy. You want to keep him around. You want to keep him happy. But he's not putting the numbers in that you are saying he's putting in. Does that make sense? Is that fair?
I see the number side of things.
Okay.
Okay, I see your number side of things. But also on this side of the tracks, the mayor said, do this because he trains us like this. You know, 1 month we'd have our taser, and then it would be like a month and a half, 2 months we'd have to do our radar, and then the other. So I see where you're saying number-wise 16, but I'm doing what the mayor said to do.
Okay, so let's say the mayor didn't say to do that.
Huh?
Let's say the mayor did not tell you to do that. All right, let's say that doesn't have anything to do with it. Is that still an accurate number if the mayor doesn't say that you can do it? If you put 16 on there, does he work 16 hours a month?
I wouldn't do it.
I know, but is that accurate? Is that accurate that he works? Let me just say it this way. Is it accurate that he works? He comes out to Buckeye Lake and physically works 16 hours a month?
No.
Okay, that's what I wanted to get at. Okay, now, Vicki Glover, when's the last time she worked for you guys? Would it be accurate that she worked in October 2017?
No.
No, but she got 16 hours for that month too, on the report that you guys turned in to village council.
How's that? Because she's not in the department.
Exactly. She's not on the department.
No one took her off the sheet.
No one took her off the sheet, but somebody filled out that she worked for 16 hours.
Jeff, just 16 every month.
And you don't have a problem with that? As a chief of police?
That I do.
Oh,
Yes.
I would certainly have a problem with that.
That I do.
Not only
Yes.
that, we've got Bartow. He works a lot, I understand, but not all the time. What's the other name here? Bear.
Tedra?
Tedra does not work 16 hours a month, but it's on there for 16 hours a month. Every month that she's been there, she's got 16 hours a month. I call her, she says, no, that's not accurate. I call the guy she rides with, Haas.
Jeff Haas.
Jeff says, no, she does not work 16 hours a month. Yeah, you guys put 16 hours a month on that sheet.
Again,
You understand, that's a criminal charge. That could be a criminal charge to do all that
there's no
stuff.
monetary value.
There's no monetary value. You're making it public record. You're falsifying a public document because it's going over to village council. You see what I'm saying? So you're falsifying a document that goes over there. And I don't know why. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. You know, but I mean, this is the place to explain it, Jimmy, if you're going to. I mean, this is where it gets explained.
Analyzing Hansy's vocal cues, it's noticeable that his rising pitch might indicate a lack of confidence in his own responses, a subtle tactic sometimes used to mask dishonesty. As the chief of police, his role involves vital communication between the city council and the officers under his charge. Failing to properly account for everyone's time creates workplace conflicts, potentially contributing to the numerous complaints against him and the ongoing interrogation. This lack of accountability might be a significant factor behind the discord within the department, warranting further investigation into his actions and management practices.
And you have faith in that person. And evidently I shouldn't have had faith in that person.
Well, here's the thing. I delegate things to him all the time, constantly, because I'm a supervisor. But what I also do on the back end is I go and check to make sure they're done. Not that I don't trust them, but you know, being a supervisor, you have to make sure.
And that's what I should have done.
And let's the biggest thing is, and especially in our job, is accountability. We
Right.
all have to be accountable. Ultimately, whatever I screw up, and he's my supervisor, it goes on him. He actually screws up if I screw up, you know, and you're the department head, right? I mean, everything under you falls on your shoulders, correct?
Yeah, and you know, when I would delegate things to Andy, and Andy would do it, and it'd be done right, and I probably, and I shouldn't even use the word probably, I expected the same thing out of Jeff from Maiden.
Sure.
And you know, and I thought, well, you know, I've known Jeff for a long time, he's not a screw up, he's doing what he's supposed to do. And you're right, I should have said, let me have that report. Because I honestly never see the report. He would either do it on Friday, or he would come in on Monday when I was working. And he would ship it right off to Valerie, and Valerie would print it and give it to the other people, give it to the council.
Okay.
But you're right, I should have had more, should have doing this right, you know. But I had, you know, Andy did a hell of a job for me, and I didn't have any problems, and I got into that blind side, you want to say.
So when you guys are computing auxiliary hours, there's no system there, right?
There was a system, and I think Ron did away with it. They had
How long have you been chief, though?
4 years.
So in 4 years, you got no system in place to track those hours, right?
Right, and we have in the last probably 3 months or not as long. There is an auxiliary, it says reserve hours now on this big book. They come in and write their time.
They're supposed to.
Supposed to.
But nobody does it.
The discovery of logged hours for officers who either don't show up or are dismissed raises a critical question. Where does the allocated money for these unworked hours go? Does the chief potentially pocket these funds, or is there a possibility of someone else within the system skimming off this money?
Okay, let's go to these checks that were cashed for the insurance company. Now, I talked to the insurance company about those checks, and they had some pretty big issues with them. All right, that may be something that I'm going to have to turn over to somebody else to investigate criminally. If it gets to that point, I may have to do that.
What
I don't know
checks?
what's there. The insurance checks that when you were transported to the hospital and you were supposed to pay, you weren't supposed to cash them. You cashed 4 of them.
Oh Lord, you gotta be kidding me.
See, Jimmy, the problem with an internal investigation is once it starts rolling, it starts opening the door to all kinds of other stuff that comes in. And I have a duty now to at least address it and try to figure out what's going on. In this setting, again, you're under Gary, okay? I can't use anything you say criminally, period. Okay?
Well, I understand.
So, all right, I want you to understand that, before you.
This is funny. These checks, I honestly, wholeheartedly, with my life, believe they were my Aflac checks. Because I talked to John Curtis, you can call him and ask him, I got him in my phone. He says, you've got a check coming, and you're going to have checks coming for your follow-up visits. I just got a check, and you can run out to my truck, I'll give you the keys. I got $3,100 out there. I just got an Aflac check for this.
Okay.
I honestly, wholeheartedly, 1,000,000% believe them checks were mine. This started to piss me off. When I found out they weren't, I made arrangements and they were taking money out of my payroll every month.
They mentioned that.
I didn't fight the system because I honestly believed they were my checks.
So did you get any Aflac checks during that time that you were getting those checks?
Yes.
Okay, so did you wonder like, hey, wait a minute, why is Aflac sending me another check?
No, because he told me that I'd have money coming from follow-ups.
Gotcha.
Just like a few minutes ago, I go to the hospital. I've been to the hospital since February 4th, every day for 3 hours. I turned in everything he just told me. He said, get everything else you need because you've got follow-up money coming from your Aflac accidental insurance. That's what I thought those checks were.
Have you been able to recognize those checks now when they come so that you don't cash them? Or is there
Yes.
something that you can say, hey, I can't cash these checks anymore?
Matter of fact, I got another check and I said, who does this belong to? I took it to the village. They said it was me. So I cashed that check. That, guys, was 1,000,000,000% a mistake on my part, but it was not out to steal anything from anybody. I've never stolen anything from anybody, and I never would and never will.
Okay.
That check stuff, and we even talked to the lady with Mayor Carroll, and we got it all upset out them taking money out of my checking account every month. I called the lady. This is my bank number. This is my routing number. They're taking money out. Evidently, they're paid off because they don't take out anymore.
Okay, so you guys have made arrangements to get it taken care of.
Yeah, there was arrangements taken care of.
Okay, perfect.
Every month that money came out.
Is it still coming out, or you got to pay?
No, it's got to be paid off because they haven't been taking their money out.
Okay, all right.
Guys, that upsets me.
But you got to understand that.
Not you guys.
I understand. And Jimmy, I don't want this to be an adversarial thing, man.
Yeah.
I want this to be just all out there, and again, out of respect for you and the job you've done for so long.
The evident incompetence displayed by the chief of police raises serious concerns about the overall effectiveness of the justice system. His alarming level of ignorance is surprising, especially in relying so heavily on passed-on tasks that he fails to review reports before their submission to the council. This negligence could potentially implicate him in defrauding public records and police reports. As this investigation progresses internally, the list of complaints against him continues to grow. The next concerning allegation involves check fraud, a matter that visibly agitates him.
I want to give you opportunities here, and that's it. I don't want to force your hand on anything.
No.
I don't want to give you advice. All I want to do is try to find out everything that
Guys, I don't have nothing to hide.
There was somebody mentioned a suicide scene where $140 came up missing too. And they said that you had access to the money and that you mentioned that the dead guy wasn't going to miss the money. You recall anything about that?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all.
Okay. You guys get a lot of suicides out there?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, some 17. You remember about how many last year?
You know, the last suicide I was on was with Andy, and a guy had shot himself in a bed, in a bunk bed.
Yep, that's the incident I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So if you recall that, you recall some money being exchanged or being taken from the scene?
Andy took everything because I couldn't stand the smell, and I do believe his family came and got everything.
Okay. The deceased family did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Log sheets. Who's responsible for keeping the guys' log sheets? Guys and gals that work out there, their road log sheets.
They write it out during the night and put it in the box.
There are 3 months from last year completely missing.
Road logs, or are you talking about?
Both road logs and actually city council, the reports that you guys send to city council, those are also missing.
Now I know Peggy said something about them.
They're all missing. The whole month, like 3 months worth, you know, I think it was April and July.
It was April, July, and November.
Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah,
correct.
because I was looking for them yesterday for her.
Okay. Yeah. Any idea what happened to those?
I talked to Jeff Mayton, because he gathers them up, puts them in a big envelope. He does the monthly report, copies it, shoves it in, you know, with the road logs, flips it over and writes road logs and stats, then the month and the year, and then he takes the other report over to Valerie. I asked him what he done with them. He has no clue what he done with them.
Why are you allowing them to leave the office in the first place? I know that everybody's mentioned everybody's got stuff at home. Why has anybody got anything at home? Why does Jeff Mayton have any paperwork at home? Any files or anything else like that?
The only thing he would have at home would be his qualifications for us, and there were his copies. And when Peggy was asking me about the qualifications, I didn't know Jeff had already put them all together, and they were in the cabinet right by his desk.
Gotcha.
So there was.
And let me ask you this, Jimmy. And again, this has got to stay here with this stuff. Did you guys ever kind of cheat your way through the qualifications? Because I looked at your qualifications, and you know, if you've shot, you've only missed one round, you know, throughout 3 different guns in a couple of different years, and then you went to try to qualify this time and couldn't hit anything. Something jumps out right there, just for me as being an investigator. And then when I talked to everybody, they said they don't watch you qualify. No one's seen you qualify besides for me.
His visible agitation while addressing the issue implies a sense of defensiveness, while he claims that upon realizing the errors, the checks were returned. Such a significant matter warrants thorough investigation before granting clearance.
Will not pass you if you didn't.
Okay.
He'll make you, matter of fact, I'll give you a scenario with Andy Davis. Andy wanted Jeff to say, hey, I did my hours. When Andy got in trouble in Muskegon County, he got work. He had to work at the dive team. Andy said, just tell him that I was here and work. Jeff said, absolutely not.
Okay.
I am not doing that.
And why
he
is
wouldn't
Jeff
do it.
letting other people claim hours that never happened?
I think it's just not muscle memory. I just think Jeff thinks that, you know, it's 16 hours. He wouldn't know if someone came out and worked, like during the day when he's off, or during the night, weekend when he's off. I think he just thinks it's the honor system, and I'm going to give you 16 hours, and he's not 100% sure if they did or not. I don't think it was to deceive anybody.
The noticeable rise in his tone suggests a heightened emotional response, indicating that this accusation has struck a nerve more intensely than the others. It's plausible that the case was addressed previously, but perhaps not thoroughly examined. Now, they move on to another allegation, one that can be deemed the most awful mishandling attributed to him. It's similar to the concept of taking candy from a baby, except in this case, he's accused of extracting money from a deceased individual.
Jimmy, would you say that everybody got 16 hours in just based on what you know?
The guys that I have now,
I'm talking about, let's think of all the 17. Let's just take 17 and to right now. Do you think that everybody really got their 16 hours in?
if they didn't get their 16, they got close to it.
Okay. But you would say that's an accurate statement then that not everyone got their 16 hours in?
I would say it's accurate. They were close, but
Gotcha.
may not have got to 16.
Okay.
Some of them may have got more than 16, and they only got wrote down.
But that's fair to say though, right? That
Yeah.
they didn't get 16 all the time. And it's also fair to say that you're in charge of that. Ultimately, it's your department, your responsibility to make sure those numbers are accurate.
Them numbers were never, ever in the whole world ever meant to be accurate. That was just a summary of what we've done.
Okay.
The only thing accurate in that whole thing was the very front page. That was accuracy.
And it wasn't accurate because you guys missed Ritter's numbers on almost every month.
What do you mean?
Like Ritter's numbers that he had, your call volume is actually way bigger than you guys claim it is. You guys have more calls and did more things than you guys claim. Because you didn't factor Ritter's numbers in. All of Ritter's call records, all his calls, all his stats. Even his hours worked. Nobody calculated.
So Ritter's not putting his stuff in the computer. That would be the problem there with
Okay.
call volume.
What do you mean putting stuff in the computer?
He's not typing his stuff in his CRs and call records in.
Okay. So
And I wouldn't
you
know
guys
that.
you guys go off of that for the call logs. So you take the call logs, put them in the computer, and then Vermaiden gets those numbers off of the computer to
Yeah, he
on
gives
the
it there and
stats.
gets,
I got you.
and it's generated from the computer. So if that call number is low and it's Ritter's not putting his stuff in.
Ritter's name's not even on the
On what?
Ritter's name's not even on the list of anything that's been done. Go grab one of those packets for me.
Yeah.
Because we didn't grab it. Ritter's name is not actually even on the list of auxiliary officers or part-time officer, full-time officer. His name's not even on a lot of it. So,
Steve's is it?
no, so we wrote it in and put down the stats that he got, and your numbers actually rose. Instead of being down here, they actually rose a lot. So you guys aren't getting credit for a lot of stuff you're doing because his numbers aren't being calculated in that. So, I don't think your village council is getting an accurate number, really, of anything. They're not getting an accurate number of how many people are coming out to work, their hours, or their call volume.
Steve Ritter's name's not on that report.
Yeah, and I'll show you when he brings it back over here. It's not even on there. Yeah, when you open it up, you've got all his call logs. So his call logs are on there, all his hours are on the call logs that he did, and everybody he picked up is on there. Now, what I did too is I went back and looked at all the call logs, and there are guys and gals that have 0 call logs. None. But yet they got 16 hours listed, and they're not on one call log.
Are they auxiliary?
They're auxiliaries. They're not on any call logs, they're not on anybody else's call log either. They didn't pick up anybody, they didn't take anybody back, they didn't do a slash mark and then put their name on it, nothing.
They usually put their name on it. Like if, let's say Tedra rode with Hawes, he would put his name on it, and he should put Bear's name on there.
Yep.
Tedra.
Some of them do, most of them don't. Ritter's pretty good about putting another name on there if he has somebody ride with him, and so is a Haas.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't. They don't at all. So when I look at it, and you think about it from a village council point of view, if I'm looking at something like that and I want to see who's out, I see that this guy has 16 hours listed this month. So I go back through all the records, and there's not one mention of him there. There's not one log, there's not any numbers.
The sudden revelation of 3 months' worth of missing files marks a critical turning point, signaling the potential downfall for Hansy. This encourages the officer to inquire about his qualifications, not necessarily due to doubts about his expertise, but primarily because of the glaring mishandling of paperwork. While he might easily respond regarding his qualifications, given his extensive years of service in the department, it serves as a stark reminder for him to contemplate his evident shortcomings in accountability and delegation skills.
Do you see a problem with the way things are?
I see things needs to be changed.
Sure.
Majorly.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem changing that stuff majorly. But I had no clue that Steve Ritter is not on that list.
Well, for instance, see January here? We actually wrote in Ritter and Jackson because Jackson actually wrote with Ritter, I think, that one day that month. So we wrote his stats in there and his hours in there anyway. And then Andy Davis picked up Bartow, and Bartow got 7 hours that day.
Yeah.
Bartow didn't get 16 hours in that month.
Now, there's times here that Bartow is our bailiff.
Okay.
And he would do the bailiff. There would be no call log for him.
Is there any record of that?
Sure.
Does he sign into something or do
No.
That's what I'm saying. Is there
No.
anything that's written down for that?
No. He comes in and he would be the bailiff. See, Vicky Glover's still on. When is this one? 17?
That's January 17th. She was already been gone
Yeah.
half a year at least.
See, this should have been updated. He goes in the computer and gets this every month. Because he has to change that from month to month. January, February, and then New Year would come in and put the 18.
Well, you see your total calls for service is 93? That's not counting Ritter's.
See?
So
Now
is there
this
a lot
number, if that number is off, then Steve Ritter's not putting his CRs in our computer system. Because this is generated from our computer system.
Gotcha.
So if that number's off, then Steve's not doing what he's supposed to do and he's hiding his CRs somewhere.
Gotcha.
Because I'm not finding them because I'll see them in the book.
Yeah.
But I don't go in and check every one of them in the computer.
Okay. I gotcha.
But you're right, Ritter's name ain't on this.
Right, it's not on a lot of, so the reports
know
are just
that.
generated like that, and then they're turned to city or village council like that. So, and there's,
You know what, I never even thought to even think of that.
yeah, there's a lot of that. A lot of it.
Wow.
Were there any times, Jimmy, that you claimed some hours that you didn't actually work?
No. There's hours that I work that I don't put down on my timesheet.
So you working extra hours and not claiming?
Yes. My phone would ring constantly, and I'd have to go out. I never put all the hours down.
Right.
Because I know we're short of money, and I didn't want to work myself out of a job. You can ask any mayor that.
Yeah. What's the most people you guys have had out at one time?
2.
2?
Yeah, 3.
At any time, any given day?
Usually 2.
Okay.
I would work 6 to 4, and then someone coming up from noon to 10,
Okay.
and they would come out at noon, give me that 4 hours to go in the office and see stuff that I had to do.
Okay, all right. So, is there any time that you would have 3 or 4 people working at once?
No.
No, never?
It'd be nice.
Yeah, right, it would be. So on April 25th, 2017, you had 4 people listed as working at the same time.
Who?
You got Davis, Vermaiden, you, and
The staggering level of unaccountability becomes blatantly evident, and even Hansy himself appears taken aback by the extent of the issue. His surprise provokes a personal desire to review the numbers and details firsthand, indicating a realization of the seriousness of the situation.
call runs and everything else, and who marked in, who marked out, and all that stuff. You guys aren't anywhere on there. You and Vermate are nowhere on the call logs.
Right.
The CR, nothing, zero.
What day was it?
April 25th, 2017. It was on a Tuesday. Ritter actually got called into work to cover for either you or Vermate, one of the two. He was not on his regular scheduled days.
Yeah, okay.
Do you remember that day? Do you remember going forward with Vermate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was on
We've
that.
been forward on several places.
Sure. That was on a Tuesday. And do you remember going to Perry State Forest?
We've been there several times.
Do you remember going to Muskingum first, and then they're not open, then you went over to there?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the day, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the day that you went on Tuesday, the 25th, I think it was.
Okay, then Ritter worked for Vermate and I took the day off.
Okay, so you do remember that day then?
Yeah.
Okay, so you took a day off. What about Vermate?
Probably used sick time like I did.
Okay, so you used sick time that day?
I was supposed to, yeah.
So you used sick time that day on the 25th to go out four-wheeling. So you weren't sick?
No, I just.
You were just
Well, I shouldn't say sick time, it was PTO time.
Okay. What is your PTO time? Explain it to me.
Personal time off.
Okay. What do you have to do to have personal time off? You just get that?
Yeah, our pay stubs don't say sick time. It says PTO, and then we get vacation.
I get you.
You cure so much, and I mean, if you wanted a day off, you just say, hey, I'm gonna take this day off, and just like that day,
Right.
Vermate had to have said, hey, do you want to go there? And I'm like, yeah, get someone to work for me.
Gotcha.
Okay, call Ritter in.
Okay, that's what happened that day then?
Had to be.
Okay. So who called Ritter in? You or him?
I think, you know what, I can't tell you that, I don't remember.
Okay. But you know Ritter was called in to cover somebody's shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
On a Tuesday, it'd be Jeff Vermate by himself.
Right. So Vermate would have had to take a personal day off, and you would have to take a personal day off at that point too?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you take a personal day off, how do you notate that you took a personal day off when you guys turn in your timesheets?
Should be put sick down there and then the amount of hours you took.
Okay. How many hours now, refresh my memory here. Did you take sick time or did you take a personal?
Right, it's PTO time.
Okay. That's considered the same thing as sick time
Yes.
for you guys? So you don't actually have sick time, you have to take PTO time?
Right.
And you have to accrue that time, or how's that
Yeah,
work?
it accrues.
Okay. All right, so you would have to just say PTO time across the timesheet or something
Or,
like that?
yeah, sick
sick.
PTO, whatever you put on there,
And that
yeah.
would be for how many hours?
Well, we both work 10-hour shifts, it would be 10 hours,
Okay, all right.
since we took the whole day off.
Gotcha. But you do recall calling him in for that particular day, and you guys going forward on that particular day?
Yes, because we went to the one place and they were closed.
And that
Yes.
was it Muskingum, was I right about that? Or
No, some other,
was Zanesville, was it somewhere in, I thought it was Muskingum somewhere, or that's the information I had, and then they were closed, and then you guys went to Perry.
we went to Perry, different part of Perry, and they hadn't opened up. It was the next day they opened up.
Gotcha.
But the one trail that we did go to was already open.
I gotcha, okay. And then you had to go to that trail, so that was on the 25th, right? That's your timesheet, right?
12 hours, 6 A to 6 P.
Yeah, you see the problem I'm having with that?
Yeah, that should have been, I didn't even finish this week.
That's because somebody grabbed it and made a copy of it because they knew you were out four-wheeling when you were supposed to be at work. That's why that's there.
Now,
And because they were concerned that you were taking time off and doing things and claiming time for work. And
Well-
that's why there's a copy of that. You probably did actually finish that timesheet, but that's a copy of the timesheet up until that point.
I think we do have the finished one.
And we do have the finished one.
And it
So,
matches.
yeah, so that's your handwriting.
probably
your
that's my
signature.
handwriting, yeah.
The inquiry extends beyond Hansy's lack of accountability to include everyone involved in the submission process. However, Hansy, as the appointed chief of police, bears a particular responsibility. His position demands active measures to fix sloppy paperwork rather than waiting for a delayed internal investigation driven by mounting evidence over months. While he attributes these errors to mistakes on his part, some of these inaccuracies appear more deliberate, notably a clerical error involving him.
I just should have do it like I do it now, which is fill it out as I go. But that day here, someone may have taken and pulled the copy off it, and I know who it was, Steve Ritter, but that was not done on purpose. And I'll give them their 12 hours back, but that was not done to steal anything from anybody.
Okay, but you see the problem that the issues that were raised, Jimmy, are legitimate issues.
I can see that.
Because if they're coming to your house and you're sitting around, and I'm not saying it's true, I'm saying that's what they're reporting. If you're sitting around watching TV when you're on duty, they feel like you're stealing money from the village. If you're going out and riding four-wheelers on a day you're supposed to be at work and then you claim time on it too, that's a problem, man.
Oh, I can see that being a problem. That wasn't done on purpose.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
And out of respect for you, Jimmy, I'm laying everything on the table, buddy. I'm not holding anything back from you here.
Here's the one that was turned in of yours.
And Vermaiden was with you, and Vermaiden claimed 6 hours.
Why would he claim 6 hours when he's supposed to work on Tuesday? He works noon to 10.
No idea.
So I don't even know why that was put there. That was should have been noon to 10 instead of 4 to 10. And it had been 10 hours.
What time did you guys get back from that trip?
Oh, hell, I don't remember.
Was it dark?
No.
Maybe he tried to come in later, I don't know. But he put down numbers too on that day that he wasn't at work. The Ritter had to come in because the two of you were both gone. And the dispatch traffic had Ritter on there, not you guys.
Yeah.
And obviously,
here, 4 to 11.
and you're being honest with me that you guys were out there on the 25th.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the problem, Jimmy. And I turn this stuff over to Mayor Wells and to Village Council. They're probably going to have an issue.
Well, you know what? This was not done on purpose. I probably should do my timesheet every day that I get done, and I didn't. That right there, the 25th, was not done on purpose. And I can understand it looks terrible.
But Jimmy, you just told me earlier that you do it like that you make sure that you don't put that ending on there until you're actually done.
I just started doing that.
Okay, I got you.
Because of all this issue of them saying, timesheet this, timesheet that, timesheet this.
Right.
And pay is very...
This is, Jimmy, I don't know if you've ever seen this before. This is a couple years of people thinking that you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. A couple years, since 2014. That's how long that is. That's a lot. That's what's going to go over to those guys, man. And obviously there are issues there. Now, obviously there's some issues whether you did it on purpose or not. There are issues there that are very serious.
Like what issues is very serious?
Like if I did that, if I left and I came back here and I claimed that I worked that day, I get charged with theft in office probably. And I would get fired. I get fired like pretty quickly here.
Right.
All right. So I don't know what they're going to do there. I don't know their procedures. Frankly, I don't care because that's between you and them. My job was to find out what happened with everything.
Yeah, I did not do the 25th of April or this. Was it this year?
No,
17. That's right. 17 on purpose, Yeah, probably I was lackadaisical in doing the timesheets every day, but I know how she is, so we have tightened it up very much because I know how.
The department refers to sick days and vacations as personal time off, or PTO. If Hansy accounted for 8 hours a day under PTO, it would be justifiable, but the reason behind this time off is crucial. Without a valid reason, it could signify dishonesty on his part, adding to the charges of unaccountability against him.
Getting guidance on how to do that, okay? But to say I blatantly ripped off this Buckeye Lake Police Department is bold. I put 34 years of my life out there. I gave them people more than anything. I've lost a marriage over this police department, okay? I've lost girlfriends over this police department because I spent more time there than I would with them, Just because someone comes to my house and they see me in blue jeans and a t-shirt that says police and a Glock 27 on my side doesn't mean that I ain't working. Doesn't mean that I don't have something in the mix going on. Mayor Foster, Mayor Carroll knew every time I would be working out of my house.
But Jimmy, your computer, like you said, the computer at your house has the same things the computer does at work. In fact, Oleg, you're not running at your house. I hope you're running them at work. Why go home?
Because it's more peaceful for one thing. The phone's not ringing 300,000 times. Chimes on the door's not ringing on and off. Bing, bong, you gotta walk out through the other side of the office. It's more peaceful and you can get more stuff done. Steve Ritter don't come in and stand at your desk and do this for 45 minutes,
I can understand that.
and trying to get things done. And Andy wouldn't come in and do all this. And you're trying to get something done. It's like being pulled 17 different ways. Like you're Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, it's impossible to do. I understand that. Hell, it's impossible to be in your position a lot of times. It's hard.
Yeah,
I get it.
And I can tell you exactly, and you can just look at me and tell me it's none of my business. I don't care. That stuff coming out of there is from Steve Ritter. Steve Ritter wants my job.
I'll tell you what. I'll be completely 100% honest with you because I don't bullshit, and I'm not bullshitting you now. That did not come from Steve Ritter.
Some of it had to have.
None of it.
None of it come from Steve Ritter.
Nothing in that book came from Steve Ritter. And let me just say this. I'm gonna conclude. I'm gonna end the whole thing on this, Jimmy. Whatever you do, whatever you decide, I want you to understand and know that we respect you. We've known you for a long time. I hope things work out for you. I really do. I'm sorry that you got pulled into this thing. because it's unpleasant. It's not pleasant for me to have to investigate you, okay? I took no joy in this, believe me. But I wish you luck, man. Whatever you do, whatever you decide, I hope you succeed in it. And if it's this and you stay here, I hope you succeed. If you decide to take off, I hope you find something good for you. If you get fired, I hope you find something good for you. All right, but I want you to understand, there's no animosity here. There's no hard feelings, no matter what. And I hope you feel the same way.
There isn't. I understand what you guys had to go through. I understand what you guys are doing, but the mistakes that were made, and there was mistakes made, and none of them was done to rip off anybody, discredit anybody, get any extra free money, or pad anything, or anything like that. The auxiliary hours and for Maton doing them, I should have overseen it, but when you delegate something, I probably should have just made sure it was right. Or I should have just did it myself. But when you got so many things going on, you delegate to this gentleman.
Absolutely.
And you guys are good friends, I'm sure. But you believe in him.
I do, yeah.
And I believed in Vermaten. My problem here, I should have probably just made sure that it was done right. But I had no doubt in him that because he's done stuff like that before.
I guess just for future reference, Jimmy, I trust them, but I verify everything they do.
Well, and that's what I should have done.
And that just keeps me, because since I've got some vicarious liability and all this stuff, with them or with the other detective, I got to make sure that I'm doing they're doing the things right, so that doesn't come back on me. Ultimately, you're the head of the police department. You're the top fish over there.
But I'm sure.
But you know what I'm saying? You are.
Oh, I know.
And so ultimately, who's it come down to?
I know exactly.
As unfortunate as it is, it's going to come down to you.
Oh, I know. And it's going to come down when you guys give her a report. It's going to come down and she's going to let me go.
But you know what I'm giving her. I lay it all on the table. There's no surprises.
The permanence of these income inconsistencies spanning 3 years raises the severity of the issue beyond simple violations. The implications are alarming, considering the potential amount of money approved by the City Council and the possible evidence tampering to generate additional income. At minimum, termination seems necessary given the severity of the situation. However, considering the potential legal implications and the possibility of facing jail time for these actions, the consequences could extend far beyond dismissal from his position.
I didn't have nothing to hide. Just like that's whatever date that was, and my hours are down there. I come in here with nothing to hide because I didn't even realize that. And I should have done it day by day, like I am now. I didn't even realize that, to be truthful with you. At the end of the week, you got so much stuff to come and go to the second week.
I know, but you can't estimate, man. You can't go back to that kind of thing. You say you're estimating your hours, with Vermaten estimating the hours and you estimating the hours, and then the estimates for city or for the auxiliaries, and then you're giving that as an official document to village council who's making a public record. No, it's accurate.
Yeah, now I see where she came up with this letter of accuracy of reports. Now I see where she come up with this public records request or documents or something like that.
Yeah.
And I agree. I should have done a little bit more due diligence when Jeff was making out the reports. Yes, I should have.
Yeah.
Now, Jimmy, how long have you been at Buckeye, like your total years of service? How
33, 34.
33 years, a lot of time. Do you feel in any way that the village owes you anything?
As in what?
All the time of service that you've given to the village of Buckeye Lake, do you feel that they owe you anything?
In this matter here, are we talking?
Well,
or anything?
I think it's come to a point to where, you kind of get into this complacent, this is how it's been done, this is what we do. You mentioned I take a lot of phone calls, I do a lot of work outside of your actual hours. I do too. I do the Facebook page, I do a lot of other things. I don't necessarily feel like, the city owes me anything, but, there may be times where you said, well, okay, I worked 8 hours today, but I did 2 hours outside of work. Because you probably did, but you didn't actually log those hours in uniform at the desk or anything.
Right.
In instances like that, do you feel like it's a wash when things like that happen?
No.
Okay, and you don't feel like the village owes you anything for all the service you've done, and, well, okay, I worked this much, they had, I gave them an hour over here, it's not a big deal, I'm basically getting it back. You don't feel like that whatsoever? Okay.
I like to get paid for what I work. Like I said, I didn't turn in some hours because I knew I'd work myself out of a job. And that's the way it's always been. I'll give you an example of the reason why. Right before Mary left in December, I asked if we could get a window tint meter for $48. No, you don't have the money. Seriously?
Wow, $48?
$48. So that's the way we've always been in that village from day one I started. They don't give us nothing. We buy our own paper. We buy our own uniform. They give us a uniform allowance. But we buy our own boots and we buy our own guns and our belts and stuff that whatever the uniform allowance won't cover.
You know, that reminds me of something though, Jimmy, I gotta ask you before you take off here. You threw away a bunch of property the other day. Yeah.
No, it was boxes and stuff like that.
Okay. And one of them was one of our uniform shirts.
Yes,
I didn't
yes.
see that.
Yeah.
Why'd you throw away our shirt?
It had been in the back of the property room forever.
So some of the stuff you threw away, was that property or just boxes? Because we found some dried up weed and all that stuff too out there. You understand, you gotta get court orders to throw that stuff out, right?
Right, that was just dirt.
Okay.
That was just the dirt.
Right.
That
I just want to make sure that you know, because I know that
Yeah.
procedurally, you guys do a lot of stuff procedurally that makes no sense to us, but I want to make sure that because that will get you in trouble. That'll get you in trouble, like, really fast.
No, that was just dirt.
Okay, so you don't throw away anything from
No.
that was not meant to be in there, or
No.
that just didn't have you don't have instruction order for anything, all right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff already boxed up that says, however it says,
To be destroyed, probably.
yeah, destroyed. What we
Did you get rid of that stuff?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
How do you get rid of stuff?
Mark Gardner,
Okay.
and that's what we were waiting for was Mark Gardner.
Perfect. Okay.
But we had 3 totes and we had all this stuff. The only thing we threw away was empty boxes because we would take all this stuff that was in boxes. We had 3 big totes and we'd write on a yellow piece of paper what it was,
Gotcha.
put it all in there, and then after that tote was full, we put tote number 1, put the legal people in it, and put the lid on it.
Okay.
We did, I think, 2 or 3 of them. The only thing we threw away was empty boxes, the Pataskala shirts, and I think was it a planner?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, just dirt.
The role of a chief of police naturally involves being present where the action unfolds. Managing employees, overseeing records, and ensuring proper checks necessitate an on-site presence rather than remote work. However, despite this expectation, Hansy seems to persist in defending his actions, quoting opposition from the council and the complexities of small-town politics. The sequence of events regarding James Hansy's tenure as chief of police presents a series of serious allegations and legal actions against him. After a 10-hour meeting in May 2018, where the council voted to terminate him by a margin of 5-2, Mayor Wells had previously filed 22 administrative charges against Hansy, including neglect, incompetency, and malfeasance. Subsequently, in July 2019, the Licking County Grand Jury indicted Hansy on 2 counts of unauthorized use of property, both classified as 5th-degree felonies. The first count included a period from January 19, 2016 to June 14, 2017. This indictment specifically mentions Hansy gaining access to, attempting to gain access to, causing access to be granted to, or disseminating information gained from access to the law enforcement automated database system without the appropriate consent, exceeding the scope of authorized access. The assistant prosecutor, Paula Sawyers, asserted that Hansy stands accused of conducting background checks on individuals outside the police department, a practice not permitted by Ohio law enforcement regulations. In October 2019, Hansy was placed on diversion, and updates regarding his whereabouts since then have not been forthcoming. This interrogation highlighted the systemic issues within many police departments, revealing the aged and flawed nature of their structures. Ironically, it was the accidental discharge of his weapon that ultimately exposed the lack of accountability, checks, balances, and effort on Hansy's part. This seemingly minor detail led to a flood of 22 charges and ultimately resulted in 2 counts that led to his legal consequences. This case stands as a stark and shocking example of the downfall of former police chief James Hansy. Remember, it's your curiosity that fuels this channel. Keep exploring, stay inspired, and join us for more amazing content next time.